Hey guys, Tylord here with my 2020 review. Basically the games I completed in 2020. I'm gonna share all the games I beat in 2020. I have a lot of good recommendations here. I beat 25 games, give or take. I did beat a few more games, but they were games I had already beaten previously. I'm just counting the games I beat for the first time in 2020. There were 25 of them. A lot of them are fighting games, so I don't know if those count, but a lot of them are pretty hard, so I'm gonna count them. I have some good recommendations anyway. Okay, we'll start off January 4th. I beat, that's over a year ago already, I beat 4 games off of this compilation, arcade collection, Capcom Classic Arcade Collection Volume 2. And those games were King of Dragons I beat on the 4th. I don't remember how many continues it took me. It seems like it's quite a long beat 'em up hack and slash game. It has a lot of good bosses in there. It's been about a year since I played it, but I do remember I enjoyed it. So that was January 4th. King of Dragons was an excellent time. Captain Commando I beat in January 10th. Captain Commando, a beat 'em up. I enjoyed it. I didn't really hear people praise it that much. Typical like final fight type action. I think you can actually get on stuff and ride it. Sort of like Golden Axe. Apparently it's set in the same universe as Final Fight though, so I kind of like it for that. It's set like 20 years or 30 years in the future from Final Fight, so it's sort of tied into it's part of this Final Fight Street Fighter universe, so I like it for that. But that was a pretty fun game. The boss was pretty hard. Knights of the Round, that's kind of like a follow-up to King of Dragons, kind of similar. Beat that one on January 11th. That was a very fun beat 'em up game. Sort of Golden Axe style. Some of these are cheating. I know they're arcade games with infinite continues, but it's the first time I'd ever played them. So I do recommend this collection if you don't have it. It's also on PlayStation Portable and PS2. It might be getting steep in price, I'm not quite sure. Okay, and then the last one off of that collection on the 11th, 1941 I beat, and I'm pretty proud of myself for that one. That's the first like shooter I've ever beaten other than like Star Fox. And it seemed like I only used a couple continues, or maybe under 10, which is good. My wife beat it too. It's a sort of World War II theme, but it's very sci-fi, really fun, action-packed shooter. So I recommend that one. I definitely recommend this collection. Not only that, there's tons of other games on here. I have it on back here. It has Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo on it. It has the original Street Fighter. For whatever reason, it feels like I can get the move inputs down better on this version of Street Fighter 1. Like I can actually toss out a couple fireballs or uppercuts every once in a while. But anyway, there's the Capcom Classics collection. So that was the first 4 I beat. And then the first like real game, I guess you could say I beat, was Deadly Premonition, January 16th. I beat it on Nintendo Switch, and I really had a good time with this. I was really immersed into this. I couldn't put it down. In theory, on paper, this is like one of my favorite games of all time. It's a murder mystery, survival horror, open world driving game. It has a lot of my favorite game styles tied into it. It's a lot like Shenmue. It's a lot like Resident Evil 4. A lot like Silent Hill. It's like Grand Theft Auto. You can drive around the whole town in any car. Nothing's really executed perfectly. The premise and everything I'd say is great, and the story and all that, but all of the gameplay isn't really executed that perfectly. It's not bad. I could handle it. I like it as it is, but you know, it does have little issues. Really quirky game. Reminds me a lot of Twin Peaks. It's pretty much the same plot as Twin Peaks. Then the next game I beat on January 30th was Advent Rising for the original Xbox. It was kind of an Xbox year. I played quite a few original Xbox games. That's probably one of my favorite consoles. This is one that had always interested me. And I heard it wasn't that great, just like Deadly Premonition. It has a lot of issues technically, but it's one heck of an ambitious game. It's, I would say it's AAA or whatever you say. If you like Halo, it plays a lot like Halo. It's very ambitious, though, like big, giant, open environments. With you can get in vehicles and drive. You can get off and shoot with guns. You can do hand-to-hand combat. It has like the bullet time like Max Payne. It has like martial arts fighting. It has gravity physics, sort of like Half-Life. So it's like Half-Life, Halo, and Max Payne all rolled up into one game. It's very ambitious, but it has frame rate issues and all that, and it gets laggy. Like, I don't think the Xbox can handle this, or the developers just couldn't handle that type of thing back then. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the PC version, but man, this thing is really ambitious. It's really fun too. If you like Halo, it plays a lot like Halo, like almost identical the way the levels play out. Like, you can get in a car, you can drive for miles and miles and shoot stuff, then you get off, you go on foot for a while. Yeah, it's just a pretty good game. Epic sci-fi stories, like the same vein as like a Star Trek or Star Wars. The music's really epic too, like epic science fiction soundtrack. I think Tommy Tallarico did the soundtrack. But I guess this game was a flop and it never made any sequels. I think it was supposed to be part of a big trilogy. They could have gone on to been something really good like Mass Effect or whatever. But anyway, there's the Advent Rising. Enjoyed that one. I can recommend it if you have patience for like the kind of the lagginess and choppiness. When it was a lot of stuff's happening on the screen, it was like all the gravity physics and the slowdown, Max Payne type stuff. It gets really laggy. Okay, then on February 24th, I beat Sudeki here on the original Xbox, and this is an action RPG, action role-playing game. I would say it's kind of in the same vein as Fable, but you do have a party, so it's kind of like a mixture of maybe Fable and Final Fantasy. It's a European game. I think British made it. I think the same developers went on to do some Silent Hill games, Climax or whatever. The art style is very Fable. It looks a lot like the Fable games. It kind of feels like it kind of has that epic high budget feel like a Final Fantasy. It's nowhere near that long, so I advise it if you're not into those really long games. I think it was maybe 20 or 30 hours I put into it. I always do a lot of grinding on level grinding, and it's fairly difficult some parts, but it's not tough to get through. I'm not super great at games, but I got through it pretty easily. Maybe some of the bosses might be hard, but you can switch between all four characters at any time. Some of them play in first-person shooter mode, and two of them play in first-person shooter mode. Two of them play in hack and slash style. The first-person shooter characters, I think it's kind of easier to get through the fights with them because you can kind of like just back off and shoot at stuff. But it's fun playing with the hack and slash characters. Kind of like Fable, you have the dodge roll and everything. Pretty fun. The characters in here, they're kind of cartoony looking. There's like the typical little male lead, like the Link type character, Final Fantasy type male lead. And then there's like a little dweeby scientist guy, and he shoots a gun. And then there's a female character, she's like part tiger or whatever. Then there's like a princess that does magic. The female characters in here look like they're like Playboy models or something. Their proportions are very exaggerated, and then every once in a while your characters upgrade and they get better armor. And they're already wearing skimpy outfits, these girl characters, and then when you get the power-ups, their new armor is even more skimpy. Yeah, this is a wonderful game. I played it. Didn't take too much time. I had a wonderful time with it. I would say it's like a hidden treasure. I think it's fairly cheap too. Then on March 8th, I beat Castlevania Curse of Darkness for the original Xbox. And I really like this game. I think I passed it up back in the day because I wasn't really into Castlevania. And everyone was trashing it because it's not 2D like Symphony of the Night, that type of style. It's not Metroidvania. But when I play this, it actually is Metroidvania style. The backtracking, exploring the big environments, only it's in 3D, so it's like a big open and big environment you can go explore in the same style as you would if it was turned perpendicular like a Metroid type game. But this is kind of open like I guess you could say like a Zelda game or an Ocarina of Time or whatever. So it plays like a Castlevania Metroid style game, but it's in 3D and it's really fun. It really took me back to Symphony of the Night. It feels and plays a lot like Symphony of the Night, only in the 3D like hack and slash style. Because you go through different sections of the castle and unlock other parts and fight bosses, and you go backtrack to go unlock other areas. So this is really, really good, and it's my favorite type of these type of games, the Castlevania ones, because you can level up your character. So you can just sit there and level grind and get hecka powerful for the bosses. And the last couple bosses in this are pretty tough, even if you really grind your levels up really high. Dracula at the end is very tough, but man, this is a very enjoyable game. I really recommend Castlevania Curse of Darkness, especially if you like Symphony of the Night, stuff like that. It's like a 3D version of Symphony of the Night as far as I'm concerned. A lot of the same power-ups and all that, and you get little pets like in the other one, Symphony of the Night. March 13th, I beat Tatsunoku versus Capcom here on the Nintendo Wii. This is one I've been wanting to play for a long time. I'm not really familiar with the Tatsunoku brand, but of course anything Capcom I like. This is anything that has Ryu, Chun-Li in there, these Street Fighter characters. Pretty nice looking fun game. I beat it. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. I just don't care for these type of fighting games where it's not the traditional hard punch, light punch, medium punch, hard kick, light kick, medium kick. It has like a hard attack, a super attack, and then it has 3 different types of attack, but they're not the punches and kicks like on Street Fighter. So I don't really care for that. But other than that, this was wonderful. Okay, March 30th. I ordered this game back before the pandemic, so I got it for cheap. Star Gladiator for the PlayStation, a fighting game. Very lovely 3D fighting game. It's so fabulous. Sort of a Soul Calibur style game, but it's a science fiction theme. For the backstory of this, from what I understand, it's kind of like a Japanese version of Star Wars. They created the Star Wars type universe, borrowed a lot of stuff from Star Wars and turned it into a fighting game. You see lightsabers, there's like a Darth Vader type character, there's a Luke Skywalker type character, there's a princess, there's a Wookiee type character, but they all tie into this fighting game, and it plays and looks pretty well. For a PlayStation 1 game, I enjoyed it a lot. Okay, same day, I actually ordered this game with its Soul Blade. I never had that. The original Soul Calibur on PlayStation, and I beat that one. That's a fun game. I don't hear people give this one a lot of love. I think people don't like its frame rate or whatever, but I don't know, it seemed to play very well, and it looked really nice for an old game. Soul Calibur, that's not my favorite fighting game series, but I do enjoy it. It's good to go back in time to see how these games looked back then. Soul Blade. Okay, then jumping all the way up to May 2nd, Tekken 6 for the PlayStation 3. I beat that. Not just the arcade mode with a bunch of people, but I played that story campaign mode, which is like a large chunk of the game. I would say it's as long as a typical adventure game on a PlayStation 6. Sort of a beat 'em up RPG type game. I really enjoyed it. I wish I'd known about it sooner. Or I wish I'd tried it sooner. I didn't know about it, but I didn't realize how good it would be. You play through a story, fight through different areas like beat 'em up style with the Tekken characters. You can upgrade your armor and your abilities. It's a really fun beat 'em up game with a little story. You can pick up weapons, sort of like Streets of Rage, and use them. So I really enjoy Tekken 6. I recommend that one. And then also in June, I beat these 3 King of Fighters. These were sent to me by HovG's. King of Fighters 2002, 2003 for the original Xbox. I think it's 2002 is really tough. Or it might be 3. One of them you fight Rugal at the end and he's freaking nearly impossible. I had to use like the little cheat helper things to beat him at the end. It was freaking tough. Even like if you put him at 1/3 damage, he's still a beast. And then the other one was still more of the same good stuff. I think you fight like Rugal's kids or something at the end. But these are nice looking games. I kind of skipped over these when I was younger, these King of Fighters. I was never really into King of Fighters as much as Fatal Fury. I like the Fatal Fury style and the Fatal Fury, the Art of Fighting, those characters. All these King of Fighters characters are kind of lame to me. But I do like the original Fatal Fury, Art of Fighting characters within there. Awesome. And then another one Hov sent me was King of Fighters 12. And this doesn't have a lot of modes in this game, but the gameplay and the graphics are amazing. Like, this is the best 2D graphics I've seen in a fighting game. So much detail and so many frames of animation in the characters. It even seems like the light and the shadows affect the look of the fighters when they step into different areas. This is a really fun game. It looks really nice. King of Fighters 12. So glad to have that one too. June 24th, this was in a box of stuff Tight White sent me. X-Men Mutants Academy, PlayStation 1 fighting game based on the X-Men. And I thought it was good. I don't hear people talk about it. It plays smoothly. It looks good. I beat it with the first time I tried it. I picked Storm. Her moves are sort of like M. Bison on Street Fighter, so I'd smash through the game and without losing a continue. I don't know how difficult it is. Probably anyone could do that, but I had a good time with this X-Men Mutant Academy for PlayStation 1. June 26, Blaze Blue Calamity Trigger for Xbox 360. This was $3 at GameStop, so I couldn't pass it up. I didn't know about this series. I'm sure some people are obsessed with it and know everything about it. I don't know. It's some like Japanese anime looking thing. Looks sort of like Guilty Gear. This is another really nice looking 2D fighting game. I'm not really into this style of fighting game. I like more like the martial arts style, but this is a cool game. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Played it through and beat it with a couple of characters. I don't have Xbox Live, so I didn't play it online. I don't even know if that's still around, but nice looking fighting game. For $3 you can't beat it. I got my money's worth out of it. Blue Blaze. Okay, July 1st. Now we're getting good. Wing Commander 3 Hearts of the Tiger. This is a spaceship sort of dogfighting simulator FMV movie adventure, and this is great stuff. Great 90s charm, 90s sci-fi charm. This is high budget. I'm sure the PC version is better, but I had really enjoyed this on PlayStation 1. Wing Commander 3. I rented it back in the day, and I really liked it. I was really blown away by the acting and the gameplay and all of that, but I never beat it. We picked it up in 2020 and beat it. Wonderful game. I guess you could say that the mission structure gets kind of repetitive. Like, you just fly out and you either defend a ship or you kill all the enemies in little dogfights, kind of Star Wars style. And then you go back to your base and you go through and you kind of point and click in different areas of the ship and progress the movie storyline. And every cutscene in here is live action, and there's big time acting. This is probably the best acting I've ever seen in a video game. It's got big time actors. Mark Hamill's the main character. He's the main pilot. What's his name? Malcolm McDowell's in here. The guy that plays Gimli, John Rhys Davies. And Biff is in here from Back to the Future. You recognize all of the actors in here from movies back in like the 80s and the 90s. So it's like the acting is like off the charts as far as video games. It actually usually takes itself very seriously, but it has that nice 90s charm. Like you can choose. There's a couple females around the ship, and you can choose which one. Mark Hamill, I think his name is Captain Blair, Commander Blair. You can choose which girl you want to have romantic relationships with, and then later on in the story, like the other girl will give you like a dirty look. And then you can lose some of your wingmen on this, and they die and they never come back, and you can't choose anymore. Usually before every mission, you can choose a wingman, and if they die, there's no coming back. So then all of their cutscenes later on are gone, I guess. Biff is in here, and he pretty much plays the same character as Biff on Back to the Future, just like a real jerk. Yeah, wonderful game. It has a kind of a dark plot twist at the end. Really cool game though. I got the after I played this, I got the next one, Wing Commander 4. I'm gonna try to beat that one in 2021. But Wing Commander 30, great stuff. Okay, July 17th, I was turned on to a game off of the internet, a free download. I guess it's a fan-made project. It's called Double Dragon Reloaded Alternate Version. My best friend was telling me about it. We're both into Double Dragon and wrestling, so he told us about it. So he told me about it, and I downloaded it, and it's like the best time I had with the beat 'em up ever, pretty much. It's the original Double Dragon, sort of cleaned up, and I think they added moves and whatnot. Or I don't know, it seems like it plays a lot better, but they added all of the wrestlers from WWF Superstars, the arcade. And that was a Techno's game too, or Taito, or whatever it was. So the characters fit in there perfectly with the Double Dragon characters. And I played through that a bunch of times. I think it gives you limited continues, but it's fairly easy once you get the pattern down, just like any Double Dragon. But yeah, that's a wonderful game. I'll try to put a link in my description. Go download that game and play it. Whoever put that together, the fan or the developer that made that happen, really put a lot of good effort into it, and it came out really nice. Okay, then in July 31st, I don't have any pictures. I played it on a ROM. It was King of Fighters EX Neon Blood for Game Boy Advance. I wanted to try a Game Boy Advance King of Fighters game, and it played and looked really good. I think I beat that one with 1 credit too. It wasn't as tough as the actual Neo Geo games. Neon Blood, King of Fighters for Game Boy Advance. Okay, August 4th. I don't know what compelled me to do this, but I downloaded a ROM of Renegade for the NES. So it's like Double Dragon's predecessor, Renegade, and the American version of Renegade isn't even what it was originally in Japan. It was Nino Kun. I should have written this down. It was a Japanese game about a dude beating up bullies in Japan. Like his friend was getting bullied, so you play through a whole beat 'em up story. You beat up everyone. But they reskinned it. They changed the sprites for America. They made it look like The Warrior, the late 70s movie The Warrior. They just made it like a street beat 'em up game. The characters more resemble characters from The Warriors. And I played that on that emulator, and I started off playing it on, and this is the hardest freaking game I've ever played. I couldn't touch it, and every segment is timed, so you have to beat all the enemies in a certain amount of time. And I couldn't do crap, like I couldn't get a hit in. Eventually I just kept trying and trying and trying, and I had to use save states to beat it. But it took me forever. Like I had to do save states at every section. And then finally at the end, I fought the boss, and like, there's no way. I had to use like a bunch of save states to beat it. Like, that's the freaking hardest game ever. There's no way anyone could beat that without cheating. But then later on, I figured out if you do the jump kick, just a straight vertical jump kick, that's the key. So then I figured I could play through the game. I beat the time, and I could get through it in good time. And I beat it no death run with the jump kick. Even the bosses I could beat. It's still a little bit of a challenge, but that Renegade it turned out to be really fun after I figured out how to do that jump kick. You just use that jump kick on the enemies. As long as you time it right, and you can get through the whole game. So that was a good time. I was really pleased with myself for beating Renegade. And then September 18th, the next game I beat was another game off of the emulator, Double Dragon, on the Sega Master System, and that's the one I'm really proud of. I could never beat any Double Dragon game other than like if I had unlimited continues on a arcade version or whatever, or the Sega Genesis version. I think you can put it to easy and put like, you can have like 10 continues or whatever. So I could beat it on that, but I could never like legitimately beat a Double Dragon until the Sega Master System one, and it's tough. I can't beat the Nintendo one and all that platforming stuff, I can't do it. The Sega Master System one is tough, but I got some good tips from Corio and Mega Dan on how to beat it, and I was able to beat it. It was frustrating, but I could figure it out, and I finally beat it. I can't do a no death run, but I beat it legitimately. Like, I didn't cheat or use save states. But yeah, once you figure out the pattern, pretty much typical like every other fighting game, you kind of come at the enemy in like a J or an L. If you just go in one line, they'll jump kick you or whatever. But man, I had a fun time with that game. Double Dragon on the Master System. That's probably one of my favorite Double Dragons at this point. So that's the one I'm really proud of myself for beating it. And then jumping all the way up to November 20th, I got this from the Spooch Retro Collecting. I ordered that from him, a really good price. Yakuza, the original Yakuza. I talked about this before. Wonderful game, a beat 'em up RPG pretty much. You can level up your guy, level up his abilities, his strength, his endurance, all that, all of his moves. And then it plays through a nice little story in the city. The little city, I forget the name of the little Japanese city they're in. Crime story related, Yakuza. There's just a lot of walking around and beating people up. You walk around through the city and the NPCs are scattered all over the place. It seems really impressive that PlayStation 2 can handle something like that. There's like dozens, if not hundreds of pedestrians walking around, and you bump into them. It's not like they're just, they don't react. Like if you bump into them, they'll stumble or whatever. So it's really impressive. And then the camera angle is like Resident Evil, so it's fixed camera angles. It makes it feel very cinematic. The boss fights are fun. The story is really good. I really like the protagonist here, Kazuma. A great story, and this one's in English, has English dub, so I like that. Mark Hamill's in here too. Yeah, great game. I really highly recommend this game. Nothing like Shenmue, totally different thing, but I really like it. And then the last game I beat, December 12th, I think. So the last game I beat this year was the old Streets of Rage 4. I got this was a game on my radar, but I'm gonna tell the truth, I wasn't really hyped about this game. I heard it wasn't really Sega making it, it was like some independent company or whatever it was. And I'm like, come on, that's lazy, like just have some independent people make your game and then take credit for it like it's Sega or whatever. Actually, I don't even see Sega on here. Yeah, I don't see anything about Sega on here, so... Anyway, I just thought, why doesn't Sega just make a really high quality game instead of like this 2D stuff? Like, you know, I love 2D, I'm all about the past, but I was just thinking, man, like this, that seemed kind of lazy. Just to have like some really quality game that, even though it's really good, like just like that some independent developer made and then just slap Streets of Rage on it, and oh, there you go, there's Streets of Rage 4 after 20 or 30 years or whatever. 20 years. But man, I was wrong. I should have listened to people saying how good this was. My buddy Lucky, the collector, sent me this because I didn't have it. So I go, I'll try it. Man, it plays just like the old Streets of Rage, and they add a lot of combos. It's so well made. Such a wonderful game. It's very addicting. Like, I play this online all the time whenever I can find anyone. Most of the enemies are still there, the same ones from like 2 and 3. But man, the graphics are nice. Nice looking, like hand-drawn graphics. I would kind of preferred something like that Double Dragon Neon. But man, this looks nice. I can't fault that. And then you can have the old characters from the old games, like the pixelated looking ones. You can unlock them. So this pretty much just is very faithful to the original Streets of Rage. And I beat it on easy in 2020, so I don't know if that counts. I'm going to count it that. Then it was freaking tough for me to beat this. Now I can beat it on hard. I got an S ranking on the last level on hard. It's still freaking hard for me though, this game. And I'm not even touching that Mania difficulty level. Anyway, Streets of Rage ended off the year with that. I was trying to squeeze one more in, but I couldn't. Right now I'm working on Dragon Quest VIII on PlayStation 2, and what is that new game that was just, it's really good. It's free for PlayStation this month. Greedfall. Yeah, if you like the Elder Scrolls type games or Mass Effect, it's a action RPG. It's really cool. So I'm working on Dragon Quest VIII and Greedfall right now. But that was it. So that's the 25 games I beat in 2020. I recommend many of these, especially I'd say try out, if you haven't already, Castlevania Curse of Darkness. It's also on PlayStation 2. I'm not sure if that's expensive or not. It might be getting up there. This thing, I know it's dirt cheap. It's really quality games. Sudeki. Sort of like a Fabled type adventure RPG type game. Yeah, Yakuza, of course. Try to play Wing Commander if you can. Wonderful stuff. Okay, yeah, great year as far as gaming for me. I had a little bit extra time. Mostly because I didn't go to the gym after work because the gyms were closed down. So I come home and play games at night. Anyway, so good talking to y'all. See you next time. I hope this didn't drag on too long. I hope you saw something you liked. Give me some recommendations for next year. And try some of these games I recommended. And I hope you like them. If you do, later.